Familia, listen. I have just received a Monster Hunter collab that we did not believe we needed. This is the Monster Hunter and Zoids collab. You heard it right. Monster Hunter and Zoids collab. Rathalos and Magnamalo. Okay. So again, I find this collab to be freaking gorgeous. Like, look at the presentation for the box, right? They actively show both Magnamalo and Rathalos. So here we go for the Magnamalo. One of the things I do want to say is, you see here, I take a second to go like pause almost, because I was pretty ecstatic that all the pieces came in bags already, because usually I thought that I would have had to have brought nippers to nip everything, which takes a bunch of time. They already nipped it for me, so all I had to do was just match the pieces to whatever the picture was showing and go on from there. One other thing was, the instructions were written in Japanese. Obviously, I don't read or speak Japanese, so I kind of had a little moment where I was like, oh man, what am I going to do? And then I took a step back and was like, wait a second. I've been building Gundams for the last like 10 years. Some of them only were in Japanese. I figured it out. So I just kind of figured it out again. Really, there were no way to get instructions at all. One of the cool thing is I guess reading has beside me, because before you purchase the item, it tells you that, like, hey, it comes with a small motor. But when I saw it here, I was like, oh wow, they have some sort of animatronic on them. It has an actual motor. So I was greatly surprised by that, and really was like, oh my god, this is so cool. It just kind of build up to the hype too. Here you see that the interior skeleton is being built. That's one of the things about Zoids, is that they have an interior skeleton and then the exterior parts that go over them. So this is no different. The Magnamalo with the purple just looked very cool. And I can say that the pieces were like very well done. You get sometimes some plastics are a little more flimsy or so on, but in this build, they were all really like high caliber plastic, which was really nice, and they had a little bit of weight to it, so that was nice. They weren't like very flimsy, very easy to break, and then look right here. So I just turned the animatronic on, the button right on the side, and it was already moving. And to be honest, though this is sped up a little bit, they do like move pretty quickly, so that was nice. It's stupid. I haven't had a figure that had an animatronic in them, like some sort of movement, a mechanical movement like that. So it was like kind of nostalgic for me to have that again. Here I'm putting on the exterior armor pieces, and it came with a lot, and I was really surprised. It for some reason, so it's not like, so like it's the same thing with Gundams too, right? You have the interior skeleton that you build, and then you put the panels on top of it. But for this, it was like it's so cool to see with Zoids, because you can't visualize while you're building it what it's going to look like, because there are so many different like shield components to it that kind of look all different. But once you like start putting them on little by little, it starts to come alive almost. And you can see once I put the crown on, it's already starting to actively look like an actual Magnamalo. So that was good. Like, whoever designed these really took time in developing the interior skeleton to make it very Zoid like, and then the exterior panels to look very Magnamalo like, the purple, the crown. This was something I was kind of like, what the hell is this gonna do thing, because Maggie doesn't have that, right? Maggie has spikes that come up, but they don't claw like that, and this was a claw. You're gonna see in a second, once it does its movement, the claw actually pops out, and I was like, oh my god, another addition to what it's already doing. So that was super cool. Here are the accents for the tail, and then also his arm blades that are gonna come. So that's the tail in the back, and then his arm blades are gonna come in just a second. Putting on the accents there. And one thing I missed too was the color of the eyes. They were super green, and that was super cool. So right here, you're gonna see the claw pop right on out. That was super, super cool. Now onto the Rathalos. So again, it was took a little bit easier because I already knew what to expect. I put the nippers away. We were kind of getting right into it. The motor here, popping it right along, super easy. One battery, one in. Just from like an exterior perspective, one thing I can say about the Rathalos is that the color for the interior skeleton was really, really interesting. It was a lighter color, as you can see right there, within the deep, deep red. It was really interesting to see that because that makes all the other shell components on top pop. So that was really, really cool. And the thing is these don't look like traditional Zoid pieces. They look more skeleton-like interior skeleton almost. I mean, it says it's interior skeleton, but it looks more like skeleton-like. So that was really, really cool, and I was really, really nice about that. Now, one thing is you see the tail. When popping the tail in, it was for some of these pieces, when you initially put them in, they don't feel flush. It wasn't until all the other components added on top of it that it like sit firmly in, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. The head was really interesting because it was very bony. It was very actuated. It was very articulate. Like the interior skeleton for the Rathalos was really, really good. I did not like the way the feet were positioned though, because they kind of were like offside, and I try to make sure that I was putting it on the right way, and followed some videos and so on, and it was the right way. Here go the eyes again. You see how deep the blue eyes are? The same thing with the Magnamalo. They were really, 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 really deep color, and they were really beautiful. But yeah, now we're just putting all the other accents on. There goes the rider. Magnamalo had a rider too. That was just kind of pop in and see where to go. There go his crown, his horn, putting everything back on. And now it's starting to, like, the moment you start putting on the panels, as little as it seems, it immediately changes the look of the Rathalos. And that was the thing, man. They like really, 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 really took their time into making sure that the interior skeleton looked very Zoid-like, but the exterior definitely had a lot of the accents from the monster that it was being portrayed to. So here's one other thing too. This top half for the Rathalos just didn't feel 100% like all the time. I had to make sure that it was flush. And the one thing I kept saying was, I hope they make the wings move. I hope they make the wings move. And they do, but it's not the way I wanted it to. I wanted the wings to flap, and they did not. They did not flap. They moved forward and back as it started walking. Now, I didn't expect it to move at all, but I would have liked the wings to be more articulate. It was kind of when it walked with its wings super articulated up, it couldn't stay, as you can see here. It would fall over. You had to bend the wings down for it to be able to walk fully, and that kind of sucked. But I mean, I didn't expect them to have any mechanical articulation, so it is what it is. Once you put the wings down, it was good, man.